Hello, my fellow patriots. This is Alex with Disabled Vets Perspective. Hello, Linda. Hello, 12B, Georgia. I'm hoping I can offend quite decently this evening, this afternoon, rather. Used to doing the evening. Thought I'd try to do a daylight show just because I thought I might get ahead of the weather and the slowdown of my Wi Fi and all that. But um, I do have relatively thick clouds that are settling in. So I am curious if I'm getting through or how my audio sounds, that kind of thing. If you could give me a 5 by 5 or let me know everything's coming through, that would be helpful. Let me put a little light on the subject. Ugh. Try to counter some of that backlighting a little bit. Um, hey, let's see. How am I sounding? 'Cause I don't want to get going too far and not have good audio or have the popcorn sound or whatever. 5 by 5, good to go. All right. Hey, Margot, good to see you. Um, I'm changing things up a little bit, but I want to start out by saying that this is a show that is not intended for children. My channel and my content is not suitable for children. If you are under the age of 18, I would ask that you please leave my channel. And this information that I put out is intended for adults only, for education purposes, and for information. So please, if you are under 18, this is not meant for you. All right, with that out of the way, great day, yes indeed. Uh, Pete, how you doing, brother? Uh, all good, good. All right, so I have some headlines that I want to bring forward. I want some information, something interesting happened in New York yesterday. I've got a couple of references to some other creators that I want to get you guys pointed to. After my live stream, I will add their links to the to my information section. That way, you can go check out their videos because there's a couple of creators that put out some really interesting stuff in the last few days, and actually some of it yesterday and some of it today and some of it a couple days ago. So I will have links below, but I will also go over what they discussed in their content. Um, it is possible, Charles Wright, how you doing? It is possible that Belinda will be joining me. She is preparing for family to come out for the holiday for Thanksgiving. Hey, Patty. So I'm going to make sure that she has that link available so that she can jump in here if she wants to. Uh, Charles Wright, good afternoon. All right, so I'm giving it just a minute before I jump into the headlines because, as you know, when I go into the headlines, it covers my view screen on StreamYard, so I can't see if Belinda jumps in there when I'm reading or looking at an article. But I do want to start out by saying my first story that I want to cover has to do with the red flag laws, and the gentleman that did this is John Mark, and he has two channels. He has John Mark, and he has Mark My Words, and he's he's got a lot of very interesting content. But he did a video yesterday about a situation in New York pertaining to the red flag laws, and in that information he gave, we were pretty close to hearing that shot heard around the world, so to speak, real close. And doesn't look like Belinda's in here yet. I Bleed American, how are you? So let me go ahead and hit this up. But John Mark, I'm going to have his link in my description below. I want you guys to go check him out. Subscribe to him if you haven't. Check out his video on the red flag. I'm going to go over it also. I've got the article pulled up. But as you know, the red flag laws are a little bit wishy-washy. There's no decent regulation on it, even though they say there is. There's almost none. At this point, anybody who gets frustrated at you for anything, I mean, anything, you know, if you don't like if let's say you're at a grocery store, you go up to the counter and something is marked a buck, you get up there and it's 2.25, you say, hey, well, that was that was advertised for a buck. Well, you've just pissed off the cashier. Now she has to do all this other, and so you can basically say, oh, this guy really concerns me, he sounded threatening. And that's how stupid it is. That's how unregulated it is. Absolutely anybody can turn you in for any reason whatsoever, and you lose right off the bat. You lose your First Amendment because you can't speak for yourself, you can't defend yourself. You lose your Second Amendment because they come and they take your weapons away for your defense. You lose your Fourth Amendment for illegal search and seizure because they don't have to have a warrant. They just show up, and they'll kick your door in. They'll do whatever they have to do to take your property. So it's scary, is what it is. It's amazing how lawless this country has become in such a short period of time. So anyway, so it says on this article, it says red flag gun control standoff with Afghan war veteran in New York. Well, it says a military vet known online for his pro-gun views and his posts on Instagram was in a 7-hour standoff with Putnam County, New York police after being red flagged for having a 30-round magazine above the legal limit in New York. His house was surrounded by police, including APCs and SWAT officers. According to the 28-year-old Afghanistan veteran, Alex Booth, police showed up at his workplace on Saturday and tried to arrest him over social media posts that were reported to them by an old Army buddy. Alex then slipped out the back door and quickly made his way home to check on his family, which he claimed were threatened by police. No, they wouldn't do that. According to the text messages sent by Alex during the so-called standoff. Okay, so first off, because they got caught doing something against the Constitution, they're going to immediately vilify the victim of this Orwellian standoff, so to speak. So it says Alex, the so-called standoff, the local sheriff's department threatened his wife, telling her that Child Protective Services would remove her newborn child from the home. When he got home, he found that the police had already confiscated his legally owned firearms. So they already broke and entering. They took his property, and now he has to establish his innocence. Miss Mary, good to see you. So it's the whole justice system is absolutely upside down right now. You are guilty until you can prove your innocence. And if you can't afford an attorney, then you have already lost, because then it's the entire weight of the federal government and the local government against little old you, and you don't stand a chance. If they can do everything they're doing to the president, then you are absolutely hopeless. You are nothing but dust in the wind. Let's see. Legally owned firearms. Okay, so I finished that. Let's see. It says this is when the 7-hour standoff began. Police, ironically, fully armed with their own 30-round magazines, claimed they heard gunshots. Of course they did. Oh, we have probable cause now. I heard something that sounded like a gunshot. Then they can breach the home. So this is the kind of stuff that's really frustrating me. And that is why they surrounded his property. But according to the official reports from the Putnam County Sheriff's Department, reports that they have now deleted from their Facebook page. I will include them in the end of this article, but they deleted it from the page. They found no guns or feeding devices at the home upon arresting Alex Booth. because apparently they already removed them. But, oh, we didn't find anything at the home. So does that mean that he's never going to see his product again, his own property? Does this mean that, oh, they already took it out of the house without a warrant, so there's no paperwork on it? We just threw it in the back of the car and closed the trunk lid. I don't remember seeing anything in the house. And, we were just out here. I didn't see anything. So this is what's going on. Orwellian dictatorship. But how could that be? The official story was that he heard gunshots and then surrounded the house. Is this why the post has now been deleted? Alex Booth, aka Whiskey Warrior 556 on Instagram, surrendered to police after being threatened again that they would take his infant daughter from his wife's custody. So this is really, frankly, it's bullshit. And I've already said that this is not intended for children, so I am saying bullshit to this. So it says, keep in mind, this is a man who served his country, who was surrounded by SWAT teams for simply possessing a 30-round magazine. Surrounded by cops that had their own 30-round magazines and AR-15s, along with small arms and heavy tactical equipment. So let's not forget all the little details there, or technically the big details. This is exactly what everyone in the gun community has been warning about. These red flag gun control laws seem to be designed to set up the next Waco situation, and seem to be designed to further smear gun owners. If a member of the military, a man who has served his country to fight for your freedoms, can be targeted for having what amounts to a standard capacity magazine, what do you think they will do to you? That's the most interesting question. Anyway, so it says some of the social media posts from last night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are hearing reports that Oath Keepers and other local military are heading to the scene, but police are arresting anyone who is attempting to get anywhere near the scene. So I'm bringing all this up because what I'm seeing is a rallying cry. I believe our government is, if they haven't stepped over it, the red line is damn sure in front of their boot. And the Patriots are really getting pissed. We're sick and tired of this Gestapo that they call their newfound police department that is going against the Constitution. They're going against the citizenry that they're here to protect. And I'm frankly getting tired of it myself. And hello, Tigger. Good to see you. So anyway, apparently this guy Alex put up a call for help. On his Instagram, it says Whiskey Warrior 556 on IG, getting red flagged right now for alleged 30-round mags. His house is surrounded by tyrants. A effing APC rolled up all over alleged $30 worth of plastic and springs. This is tyranny. Calling all liberty lovers, blast the effing signal out. So he did a general call for help, and he got a response. Apparently people were moving to help in the defense. This is an update at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. After posting numerous posts yesterday during the incident claiming Alex Booth was being charged with multiple felonies, the Putnam County Sheriff's Department has since removed those Facebook posts. What they're doing is they're covering their ass. They know the Patriots are pissed, and this was almost the shot heard around the world. If this wasn't about 30-round magazines, why remove the post? Each post had thousands of comments questioning the official narrative and giving inside information on what really happened. Is that why they were removed? They removed the post this morning and put up new one blaming social media. Last night, they claimed they attempted to raid the house after hearing gunshots. Of course, they did. Yet, the now deleted post says no guns were recovered. So he's lost his property. So how did they hear gunshots with no guns present? Orwellian. This video shows the original post, which can no longer be found. Anyway, so it's a video on here. I can't really share that on here. I got to go through a whole bunch of stuff to do video share. But anyway, the Putnam County Sheriff's Department's press release. Before I read the press release, I want to say one thing. I watched a video not too long ago where a woman was showing up where they were going to be doing their standoffs and the riots. Drop it like it's Scott. Hey, brother, good to see you. Darla Tidwell, welcome. But anyway, the woman asked the police officer that was standing there, she says, if you were told to go to a house of a law-abiding citizen and confiscate his guns, would you do it? And he didn't blink. He didn't hesitate. He said, this is my job, ma'am. I'm going to do what I have to do for my job. And that's the wrong answer. That's what frustrates the hell out of me. I took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic. And every day that goes by, it just feels like there are more domestic enemies than there are foreign ones at this point. So it really bugs me. If you take an oath to defend the Constitution and the first thing you say is, oh, well, it's my job, I'm going to go do what I have to do for my job, then you're wrong. You can disobey an unlawful order and you're obligated to do it because you are sworn to defend the Constitution. And when I was Chris Lane, good to see you. When I was in the military, I promise you, if I got an order from an admiral that was unconstitutional, I would refuse the order. And, a general too, whatever, I would refuse the order because I swore to protect the Constitution. And I am one of the people that really understands the Constitution because I've read it, I've studied it, I've looked into it. I know what the hell it means. So it's not just a little piece of paper, and it's also not designed to express our rights. That's something a lot of people don't realize. The Constitution was put together to restrict the government from implementing tyranny against the people. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have Belinda. Hello, how are you?
Hey,
Let
good.
me get
How are you?
my hearing devices on. Hearing aids. Okay, now, are you there?
Mm-hmm. Can you
Okay,
hear
good.
me?
I can hear you now. Have you been listening?
No, I just kind of got done.
Okay, everybody, we got to start over completely because Miss
No,
Belinda
no.
didn't study. Okay, no. I'm in the middle of the red flag issue that happened in New York. Basically, at this point, I was explaining the Constitution was actually written to put restrictions on the government more than it was written to express our freedoms, because our freedoms are God-given, and the Constitution is just there to protect them. And the government is the one that is supposed to be held to the constitutional limits, and they overstep it all the time. And that's something that people just don't understand, is that the Constitution was written so that the government was restrained, and so the people were allowed to live in freedom from tyranny. So
And it's been hijacked.
anyway, yeah, it has, and it's been totally ignored and swept under the rug and torn up and whatever they're going to do. So I was just about to read the official press release. Oh, we got a honeybee. Hello, bee. I get bothered when the honeybees come in the house because they're supposed to be out there sucking flowers and making honey. Then they get in here and I have to catch them and put them out. But yes, I do that. So anyway, What do you have going on, by the way, before I read this press release?
Uh, Personally or in the news?
Oh, whichever you prefer.
Uh,
I was just
well,
censored by a
I'm
dog.
getting a surprise. My parents are coming today, so I can't stay on long. I'm trying to get some stuff done. And I was looking at some after we talked this morning, some red flag news. And of course, I put in New York City, and New York City is out of control. They have their justice all backwards. The things that
Well,
they
it's
find,
injustice.
it, yeah, they the things that they find important, I don't find on a whole to be important. They've deployed
Right.
500 police officers to the subway to catch people jumping the turnstile. Wow.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of money in that stuff.
It's a very
Um,
rich state. Tax those rich people
Tigger, I
they
do
keep
not have
talking about.
honeybees.
Huh?
Yeah. Tigger asked if I had honeybees. I do not. I plan on raising some soon, but there's a place right down the road that they have a few hives. So, yeah, they come over here to visit all the time. But I saw also 12B Georgia says that the police told me I'm a gang member because of my military tattoos. Uh,
Huh.
Criminalize the veteran. That's part of the process. We are domestic terrorists according to the left.
That's
So
right. You're in the best gang there is. The only
that's
gang.
right. The only gang that will actually defend our
Yeah.
Constitution and not try to take control of the country. But
Yeah, we don't
anywho, let
go
me
around shooting people sideways.
right, yay,
Yeah, dude.
talk about lack of aim and control. All right,
All
this
right.
is Putnam County Sheriff's Department press release.
Huh, that's right,
It's going to take
buddy.
me a minute to read this, but it says Town of Carmel Police Department on 11/23/2019 at approximately 2:19 p.m. A member of the Town of Carmel Police Department was in the area of 50 Putnam Drive investigating a prior domestic incident involving the 28-year-old resident of Alexander Booth. Okay, the domestic incident couldn't have been investigated because the kid was at work and had to escape work and the police to run home to check on his family. So, okay, that's a lie. The officer, hearing what he believed to be a gunshot come from the residence, requesting backup, which gave them permission to breach the door. Oh, is that a gunshot? Anyway, so I'm adding my own lib to this. So it says when additional officers arrived, Mr. Booth was observed in his doorway acting in an agitated state.
You think? I'd be
Yes,
agitated
folks,
too.
I'd be pretty pissed too. Agitated state before returning inside his garage apartment and barricading himself. As a safety precaution, officers evacuated the neighboring houses and alerted the Putnam County Emergency Response Team and Negotiation Team. Of course, they did. Turn the victim into a villain. That way, you justify your illegal actions. Negotiators made contact with Mr. Booth after hours of discussion. They were successful in convincing him to surrender without incident. Thanks to their tireless efforts, no civilians or police were harmed. God bless them. Alexander Booth was subsequently arrested on a felony warrant issued by Town Justice Jacob Ellis, stemming from the previous domestic incident, which they have to prove happened. He wasn't home. Anyway, Mr. Booth was charged with Penal Law 140.25 burglary, second degree, as a Class C felony, 140.15 criminal trespass, a Class A misdemeanor, and boy, they got 5 different felonies they just hit this kid with. So this is what they're going to do. They're going to breach your home. They're going to steal your products, your own possessions. They're going to declare that they didn't see them in the home. They're going to throw them in the trunk of the car. Then they're going to hit you with a whole list of felonies, and you're never going to see your shit again. This is tyranny. If you want an example, this public service announcement for the press is exactly what tyranny is. Anyway, so what's that?
Do you think it's also going to the lack of education with these police departments these days, and the lack of leadership? And
Oh, absolutely. And hiring yes men instead of maintaining integrity. They're hiring young kids with a chip on their shoulder that want to be tough guys under the badge.
Yeah, I was going to go in the military, but
right.
Yeah.
At the conclusion of this incident, no weapons or ammunition feeding devices were found or seized. So they were sent to his home because of a post on social media where they saw a 30-round magazine hanging from a weapon. They went to his home. They apparently took said weapons and then declared they couldn't find them and hit this guy with 5 or 6 felonies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 felonies so that he will never see his personal protection devices again. So this is a neat trick. Congratulations, New York. You are assholes. You are outstanding. The town of Carmel Police Department was arrested by the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. The what? The town of Carmel Police Department was, okay, so, my bad, assisted by the Putnam County Sheriff's Office. They need to be arrested, but they were assisted. Yes. Huge difference. And the Westchester County Department of Public Safety Special Response and Negotiation Team. Not to mention the MRAPs and the SWAT teams and everybody else for what didn't even exist, apparently. Update 11/25/19. Apparently today, the Putnam County Sheriff's Department was supposed to have a press conference this afternoon. Unfortunately, they seem to be in full cover-up mode. The 1 p.m. press conference has been canceled. They have also now moved on from it ain't so. They have also now moved on from deleting their official statement on Facebook and Twitter to actually closing down public access to their Facebook page. Ladies and gentlemen, the Patriots have had it. We are awake. The government is out of hand. And, this is ridiculous. Anyway, so.
Well, it's funny that you say they've scrubbed their Facebook page. Researching one of my favorite criminals, Mr. Bloomberg, it seems that the internet's now very sanitized with about him. It seems that he's been able to go on there and pull a lot of the articles that were derogatory towards him when he was mayor. Now, I haven't been able to find them. There's some things on YouTube, but I want to read it and I want to be able to go back, and check some stuff out.
Right.
And
I'm not finding and boost the good.
Yeah, and I'm not finding it. It's funny how you can just erase, they say once you're on the internet, you've always left your footprint. Well, that's not true. If you have enough money,
unless you're on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you are a criminal on the left, your crimes are gone. Poof, you ain't seeing nothing.
Yeah.
So now we need to fear the police. Linda, that's not entirely what I meant. We need to be cautious of the police that don't intend to do our safety. And you can ask them absolutely point blank, and you will know very quickly which ones you can trust or not. You ask them if they would uphold their constitutional oath, if they would seize products or personal possessions without a warrant, and would they honor the red flag laws. If they give you yeses, then there's a real problem. But not all of them are bad. I know police officers that are very good people, and a lot of them are actually my age or a little younger. They're from a different era. But there are also sheriffs that will not promote or honor these red flag laws, and they're making it clear. So it's not all of them. I'm not blanketing the police department saying do not trust the police. I will say,
Absolutely.
on the other hand, the FBI, do not talk to the FBI. Just stand there and keep your mouth shut, period. Because they are the ones that are allowed to do perjury traps. So the FBI, if you are ever approached by the FBI, you are much better off just keeping your mouth completely shut. I mean, just they ask you a question, give them funny looking faces. Don't say a word. There's too much evidence right now to show that there are people being destroyed because of the FBI tactics. So that's what I'll leave that at. But
I think I
so
just
yeah,
saw
so you were saying
something. Can I say something real quick?
absolutely
I think I just saw something in the chat. You know, it's hard for me to see this stuff on my computer. I think it was Georgia, 12
12
Georgia,
Georgia.
12B Georgia, said that he was taxed for missing a VA appointment. VA is in Veteran Affairs.
And then the VA takes your disability for missing an appointment. Yeah, they can do
Takes
that,
or
or they can
tax?
takes.
What?
It says, and then the VA takes your disability for missing an appointment. Welcome to America.
What?
Uh, let the cops come to your home. You will find out quick. So that's the
I,
other one he said. But yeah, they if you miss appointments, they call it non-participation in your well-being or whatever. So they can use that as an excuse to take your disability away, or if you're in the process of a claim, they can do that. But that's something we should definitely cover on Sunday show.
yeah, I need to look into that because that's not something, because I have missed my fair share, to use the term, of appointments.
Yeah. Well, I've stopped taking my medication, so it's going to be interesting to see what they say because I take medication. I took it because of high cholesterol, and my cholesterol won't go down. So I don't know why the hell I take it. I took medication because all my joint fluid doesn't reproduce itself, so I get really stiff joints.
Mm.
I take the medicine, my joints still hurt like hell, so it was stupid. I take a heart medication to keep my heart rate regular, which is a real pain in the ass. It doesn't work, so why the hell do I take it? So it's stupid. It's just dumping chemicals into you. But anyway, we'll get on that in a different video. But there are comments under this situation with the red flag, and I'm trying to drive this home partly because Florida has red flag, and Ron DeSantis and Matt Gaetz. You know, I've asked Matt Gaetz point blank about the red flag laws, and he says it can be a good thing if it's not abused, and that was too quick and too vague an answer because it's already being abused. Over 2,500 people have been hit with red flag in Florida, and a very small percentage of it, I can't remember it off the top of my head, but were actually law related. The rest of them were non-law related seizures. And so they didn't have any prior problems. They didn't have felonies. They didn't have anything. So it was non-criminal related seizures. But anyway, so let me go. It's 41 comments. They're usually pretty quick, but I want you to see the general response to this red flag stuff. It says, this is BS. Second is being eroded every day in all states. Sad. And Drop It Like It's Scott asked me what I thought about the new law getting ready to be signed in by the governor of Virginia. I think it's insane. I mentioned before that they tried this in Turkey while I lived there. They tried to take the people's guns. They tried to do a seizure and remove people's rights to own guns in Turkey, which they are. You can own guns in Turkey. That's one of the most free places for owning personal protection devices. So when they did this, they passed this law, told everybody to turn them in. So they showed up. About 1 million people showed up in Ankara, which where the capital is, and they all stood out in front of the federal building with their arms up in the air, holding their weapons and saying, "Why don't you come on outside and take them?" And needless to say, that law was overturned just about as fast as it was approved. And frankly, if the Patriots did that here, I think it would send a real message. But anyway, so the second comment here just said, God bless you, brother. Hang in there. We can't even trust friends nowadays. If there is a
Just
falling out over any, pardon?
just what you and I were talking about this morning.
Yeah. If there's a falling out over anything minor, they will turn people in to make trouble for no reasonable, I guess no reason or another is how they wrote that. No reason or another than revenge. Best to not tell anyone what you have. That's right. It's none of their business.
Well,
There's
see, and I
no
kind of
requirement.
don't, I have a little bit of a disagreement with that because, you know, Alex, you and I talk, our families talk. If there was a falling out, you know, I would never say a word because you would never say a word. You know what I mean?
Well,
It's
that's
just,
right.
but like that casual person or the casual conversation or someone you only meet in a certain social situation, there's no way. There is no way. Loose
Yeah.
lips.
Sink weapons.
Yeah, sink the weapons now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's a rough time right now. Um, uh, anyway, so somebody says in Kentucky we're back to constitutional carry. So that one, this is the very reason for the Second Amendment. The time for begging and peacefully protesting is long over. How many more infringements are going to be allowed from local, state, and federal? It's a good question. It is time that law enforcement who value and abide by the Constitution start risking their careers by disobeying illegal orders and stand up to their oaths. Otherwise, they themselves become the root problem because they are the arm of the wicked politicians. That's a powerful statement.
Hmm.
Stop the tyranny. This is America, you idiots. That's pretty much point blank. Can anyone say they didn't see this coming? I'm sure there are many more we haven't heard of, and many to come. This will not be televised, ladies and gentlemen. And that's true. It was all on social media. This did not hit any news, and they apparently were going to do a press release and canceled it because of pushback. Um, anyway, so traitors, terrorists, and enemy combatants. Nothing said. Enough effing said. So, yep. Um, I wish the NRA would sue the states. NRA, not sure about them anymore. I don't think they're as friendly as people think. I think they've been infiltrated, just like every other massive group has been overtaken by the left. uh, I'm glad he's alive and well. If he had died, I hope he would have taken a lot of company along. That's a sad statement, but yeah, I mean, all right. So that's enough on the comments. You kind of get an idea of what people are thinking, but this it's bad. But people kind of throw their hands up. They wonder what to do. But the bottom line is the Patriots were coming for his defense, which means they're out there. So we're proving that we're not alone, and that if somebody ends up in a bind, you can ask for help, and it will come. Bundy
Because
Ranch was an example. What now?
if, you know, just if you look back at history, at World War II, as recently as World War II, you see what happens. You see how they
Right,
make you a desperate society and afraid of everything. And then, of course, you're taken over. I mean, you'll always have a resistance, but your resistance there has to be numbers in a resistance. You can't just have, you know, 5 here, 4 here, 3 here. You have to have that underground network of people to fight this
right,
stuff off.
right. Well, the second thing I wanted to go over was a video that was brought out by Jennifer Net for Truth, or not Net for Truth. What is her name? Jennifer Veteran for Truth. Okay, I'm sorry, Veteran for Truth. She stumbled across something, and like I said, I'll have her link down below. But it's about this Blendman or something that one of the guys that the CIA brought forward as a witness doesn't exist and hasn't existed. He's a created asset. And the only reason I bring it up is because she stumbled across this by looking into this guy and found out that all the articles that were created to give him a history were dated all the way back to 2013, but their information was all pertaining to the hearings of today. So you quickly see that he's a created asset, and that's something that the CIA is well known for. They can create a victim, create an asset, and then retaliate against another member. And it's the stuff they normally do overseas, and
Constructed
it's being done
scenarios.
here.
Yes, working
Exactly.
constructed scenarios.
Yeah, so they're doing that on our soil, which is extremely illegal. It's beyond the mandate of the CIA, and you know, it just goes to show that we are. If we wouldn't have won this last election, life as we know it would be over. And they're so blatant. They've already been caught and everything, so they don't give a damn anymore, and they're just doing it right in your face, and they don't care if you notice it or not.
Alex, I got to go. Sorry about that. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And
okay, well, I'm glad you got to join me for a minute. I know you got
Okay,
a lot going on with your folks coming, but you
Okay.
have a good day. We'll
okay,
talk to you
thanks.
later.
Bye, everybody.
All right, bye-bye. All right, that was good to see her for a minute. I don't know if she's stressed because her folks are showing up a day early. So her father has pretty advanced stage Alzheimer's, and visits are difficult, but it creates a lot of stress. Yeah, I got birds hanging out behind me. Yeah, we like our bird feeders in the window because we get interaction by squirrels and birds on all kinds of critters. And then at night we get possums and raccoons and other critters that come up to eat leftovers that get thrown out there. But anyway, so that Jennifer Veteran for Truth, I'm going to have her link down below. I'm going to have John Mark below. And then this last one I want you guys to go listen to. I get really, really edgy and angry when I talk about Planned Parenthood and what they do. So I try to avoid talking about it. And but an interesting thing was brought up today about this new lab-grown meat, and it was Amazing Polly that put this up, and you just I need you to go watch that because I don't want to talk about it, but she put some interesting stuff together, and I'm very curious what you guys think of that. So anyway, those three links will be in the comments in the description section below after this video, and I'd recommend you guys go check them out because we are the news now, and the anons that are out here are being hot and heavy at stuff, getting things done, getting information out. So it's important that we participate in the knowledge, get to learn a few things. Anyway, so let me look through here and see if we've got anything of real significance. I'm kind of in the headlines, seeing what's going on. As you guys know, the Secretary of the Navy was let go. I did the live show we did on Sunday. We discussed the prospects of the Navy going rogue, with all the yes men that were allowed to exist during the Obama administration and the firing of all the constitutional patriots. If you disagreed with any of his Orwellian tactics or unconstitutional orders, then you were immediately fired. And the only ones that were kept in were bootlickers and ass kissers. And I think those are going to start getting weeded out. But the Secretary of the Navy definitely needed to go, because when the Commander in Chief gives an order pertaining to military, then the last thing you say is yes, sir, ma'am. That should be your response at any point when you're given an order that is constitutional. And this Navy Secretary chose to go against him and say, well, I'm going to still investigate this Navy SEAL. I don't care what you say. So, okay, fine, you're out of here. And we'll see how this new guy does. But we don't need yes men. We need people that are presidential advisors that are willing to say, look, sir, I think that's a problem, and be willing to do their job, but then confront their bosses when necessary. That's how the system works. If you disagree with something, you need to be able to speak openly and say, look, I think this is wrong. I think you need to consider this a little further, and here's why. That's how it should be. But yes men, no need for them. And that's what Obama wanted. It was all yes men. Just shut up and do what I tell you. Anyway, so this is an interesting thing here. A second Schiff staffer linked to Burisma-backed think tank, close friends with alleged whistleblower. I thought nobody knew who the whistleblower was. Isn't that what they've been saying? Nobody knows who the whistleblower is. But yet they know who his close friends are. They know who he talked to. They know everything about this man except for who he is. So that's creative. But this is apparently the second one now that is a shifty friend, and they're sort of coming out of the woodwork, and he's sort of losing more and more credibility, which he never had with anybody that is a free thinker. Let's see. But anyway, so that's Adam Schiff. Anyway, so he is a moron. And the popularity of this impeachment tyrannical hammer down is losing its popularity. But I'm tripping right now thinking about how veterans get treated. Yeah. We are the enemy of the left, and they make sure to inform people of that all the time. Dangerous, bad, veterans trained. Oh, we got to do something about them. They could actually be a threat to us someday if we keep going as our Orwellian task force, so to speak. So anyway, the impeachment is losing popularity, and Democrats are starting to inch away from it, but they can't help their stupidity in their talking points. This is Democrat rep, Representative Brenda Lawrence, Democrat, Michigan, has changed her mind on impeachment probe of President Donald Trump and does not want to see him removed from office. But she wants him censured for making Ukraine do things for him for quid pro quo, which, like I said, they still want to stick to their talking points because they're stupid, and they think that they're still going to stand a chance with their base, and they will, because there are absolute brain dead idiots that you can slap them with a 3-inch thick book of truth and they will not accept it. So they are going to have their base, but the people that are awake, they lose. They're gone. Independents are losing interest in the Democrat shenanigans. The Republicans are basically forming coalitions where they're starting to work together. Usually, Republicans are a bunch of chicken shits that run off in their own direction, and they do whatever they have to do to secure their re-election bid. They do as little as possible and get away with as much as they can. And now we're starting to see coalitions where the Republicans are bonding together and sticking together. That's something that the left has, they've got that nailed. The left sticks together like a herd of sheep, and you just can't break them up. But they're losing some of their control right now, which is good. They're losing some of the interest in the impeachment, but the talking points are still the same. So anyway, so I can't even watch news anymore at all too much these. Yeah, I don't watch in. I can't say that. I watch the equivalent of an article on mainstream media. I will watch segments because that's part of how that's how I get information. Partly, you have to hear the wrong side and then compare it to the right side, and then you sometimes you have to split the difference because tiny pieces of truth come out, and then they're buried by the law. They're surrounded and buried by the lies. Drop it like a Scott. You're back. You asked me about the law, the bill that's being considered in Virginia. For one, I don't think it's being considered. I think the mayor's going to sign that thing with whiplash, and he's going to turn an awful lot of people in his state into instant criminals. And he's already getting pushback from sheriffs of towns in Virginia. I'm very curious to see how this is going to go. I don't think it's going to be as smooth as the mayor thinks. I think that the tyranny that is being really pushed hard on the people. The best comparison I can give it is when you're taking a shower and you get the soap all nice and lathery and wet, and then you go and the soap goes flying up in the air. Well, that's what they're doing to the population. They're squeezing the population tighter and tighter and tighter. And if we were a submissive population, unarmed and defenseless, then yeah, they can get away with that, just like they do in China. But we are not defenseless, and quite frankly, we're not disarmed. If you've had any training at all, you even without a gun, you're not disarmed. So we are not a victim society. We're not a country of victims. So we are the bar of soap. And once you squeeze too tight and that soap comes flying out, it's probably going to land on your big toe, and that's going to suck. But, that's my analogy of what's going on in Virginia. Well, thank you, 12B George. I appreciate that. I enjoy all of you folks hanging out with me all the time. Duke Raw, good to see you, brother. Instant criminal, just add water and stupid. Yep, that's pretty much it. But the other thing I wanted to bring up was the absolute proof now of voter fraud in both Kentucky and Virginia. Proof, absolute proof, being turned in on a regular basis. And the thing that bothers me is that they are getting the proof of voter fraud, but they are not changing the results. And that's what really bugs me. I don't mean flip the results by saying, okay, well, there was voter fraud, we're going to give it to this guy. No. What I am saying, though, is that they need to nullify that election, and they need to do a new election with the same candidates and let them campaign for 30 days, 60 days, whatever. Let them do a short period of campaigning to re-energize their base, and then do a new election and do it. Get off of the George Soros voting machines. They've been hacked from the back. They can hack these things without a signature because it was built into their programming. So that's been proven. A woman that called the election commission in Kentucky that hadn't lived in Kentucky in 8 years, and her husband is filing for citizenship, cannot vote at this time, was registered as a Democrat and voted Democrat in Kentucky when they hadn't lived there in 8 years, and potentially threatening his citizenship he's been fighting for many years. because it shows criminality, and they can link that to him. So this woman's fighting right now to keep him from being removed from consideration for citizenship. So those are two examples, but they've been piling up. More and more and more people showing the voter fraud in these two states. But this is what bothers me, because they're getting away with it. Oh yeah, we were caught in voter fraud, but we're going to leave things as they are. You know, we like our Democrats where they are, so we're going to leave things. We're not going to do special elections, and we'll just, bad. Shame on you for doing the voter fraud. You shouldn't do that. What's going to happen in 2020 when we're voting for our president again? It's obvious, blatantly obvious, that they are going to do this in 2020. Red states, maybe not, but there again, these people control all the buttons. It's not who makes the vote, it's who counts the votes. And we've got to put safeguards in place. We need voter ID. And as a matter of fact, in Kentucky, another example was a seizure at one of the postal facilities. They seized hundreds of fake driver's licenses, and these were intended for the illegal population that lives there so that they can do their voting. So that was 3 examples that I've given now on voter fraud that was absolutely proven. And no special election, no change in the decision, nothing. So it's just being allowed to continue, and we need to do voter ID. If you want to vote in an election, you can get your ass off your couch. You can walk or ride or take a bus or whatever down to your local voting office. You can stand there and you can fill out the form to get you an ID. Voting is a absolute right in this country for citizens. So if you want to participate in one of your God-given rights, and one of the most important ones, then you need to take the effort, take a few minutes, get your ass down there and get your voter ID. It shouldn't be an inconvenience to save your country and to protect it from tyranny. So these people that say, oh, well, it's so burdensome to get an ID card to vote, well, then you're stupid. So anyway, so I think I'm going to let that be it. It's almost an hour now, 57 after. So I hope that I've given some food for thought, some things to chew on. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me for this hour. God bless you all. I appreciate you. Love you guys. You are the reason I do this, because if nobody gave a damn, then there wouldn't be any reason to be here. And you guys obviously give a damn. So thank you for that. And thank you for Belinda showing up for a little bit. I know she's stressed, had a tight schedule, but she wanted to get on here and participate a little bit. So that was cool. So anyway, until the next one, y'all, stay in the fight.